Okay. Well, good morning. We'll go ahead and start this morning's press conference with the numbers again. So today we have 508 new positive cases for a total of 6,376 positive cases. 98% of those positive cases were in the 22 counties where restrictions remain in place. We had 1,165 new negative cases for a total of 33,447. Yesterday, we ran a total of 1,673 tests. A total of 39,823 Iowans have been tested for a per capita of 1 in every 79 Iowans. The State Hygienic Lab has testing capacity of 5,226. We have 2,169 Iowans that were diagnosed with COVID-19 who have recovered for a recovery rate of 34%. Today, I am so sorry to report that we have had 9 additional Iowans who have died as a result of this virus. Today's deaths are among older and elderly adults, and 7 were residents of long-term care facilities. Also, unfortunately, the Department of Public Health has confirmed 7 additional long-term care facility outbreaks: Granger Nursing and Rehab Center in Dallas County, Dubuque Specialty Care in Dubuque County, Park Center and Acura Healthcare of Newton West, both in Jasper County, Iowa Veterans Home in Marshall County, Fleur Heights Center for Wellness and Rehab, and the University Park Nursing and Rehab, both in Polk County. And again, all of those just mentioned are in the counties that remained under higher restrictions. From the start, we've taken significant and proactive mitigation measures to protect long-term care facilities and our most vulnerable Iowans who live there, because we know that COVID-19 spreads quickly in congregate settings. We're deploying long-term care strike teams to conduct surveillance testing of employees in areas where virus activity is high, and will continue to ramp up these efforts. As we begin to reopen Iowa safely and responsibly, testing, case management, and tracing remain critical components to understanding and managing virus activity. Tomorrow, a second Test Iowa site will be opening in Waterloo at Crossroads Mall, and testing for now is prioritized for essential workers and people who currently have symptoms of COVID-19, have been in contact with someone who has the virus, or have recently been in an area where it's more widespread. So as a reminder, go to testiowa.com and complete a brief online assessment, and then individuals who qualify are scheduled for an appointment to be tested. Testing is also available in Des Moines. We've ran sites Monday and Tuesday, and we have more sites that will be opening up soon. As I've said, expanding testing capabilities helps us better understand virus activity across the state so that we can target our response efforts and focus on containing and managing the virus for the long term. Yesterday, I also announced that some businesses would begin to reopen later this week in 77 of Iowa's counties. Effective May 1st, restaurants, fitness centers, retail stores, and enclosed malls may reopen at 50% of normal operating capacity while complying with certain requirements designed to protect the workers, the customers, and our communities. In all cases, those businesses must ensure that social distancing continues to take place, increased hygiene practice, and public health measures that are consistent with guidance from the Department of Public Health. You know, many Iowans have missed their favorite local restaurant, and they're curious about how the experience will be different and whether it will be safe. The Iowa Restaurant Association worked proactively with owners across the state to establish guidelines for adapting operations and meeting expectations of their customers. The Iowa Department of Public Health and the Department of Inspection and Appeals also partner together to develop specific guidance for restaurants as they prepare to begin serving their customers again soon. I've asked Sarah Reister to provide an overview of the guidance being provided to restaurant owners and employees so that Iowans can return to their favorite place with complete confidence. Sarah?
Thank you, Governor Reynolds, and good morning. As we prepare to open some businesses in Iowa, we wanted to take an opportunity to review some of the guidance that's been developed for reopening. This guidance has been put in place to ensure that we can reopen responsibly. We want to do this in a manner that protects not only the health of Iowans visiting these establishments, but also the health of the employees that work there. We've developed guidance for businesses that have remained open over the last couple of months, and along with them, we've instituted practices to keep customers and employees safe. Many of these protective measures are the same as what the governor ordered in her proclamation yesterday. And now, along with other state agency partners, Public Health has put together additional guidance for restaurants and farmers markets. We'll post this guidance at coronavirus.iowa.gov, and I'll run through some of it here for you today. But before I do that, I want to make sure all of us continue to understand that there are Iowans who continue to be at higher risk for more severe illness, and we all need to do our part to help keep them healthy by following this guidance. And I want to remind those of you who are at high risk that you should continue to stay home as much as possible. If you do decide to leave your home, it continues to be important for you to practice social distancing whenever possible. We know this is challenging, and we are here for you if you have questions. As Governor Reynolds said, we know many Iowans are looking forward to getting back out to eat at their favorite restaurants. Yesterday's proclamation allows restaurants in many counties to resume limited on-premises dining service starting Friday. Restaurants are required to limit seating to 50% of normal capacity, limit group sizes to no more than 6 people, arrange seating to provide a minimum of 6 feet between tables, prohibit customer self-service of beverages or food, including buffets and salad bars, implement reasonable measures to ensure social distancing of employees and customers. The Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals and the Iowa Department of Public Health strongly recommend that all restaurants adhere to the additional guidance that we'll post at our web pages and at coronavirus.iowa.gov. These additional measures include an enhanced cleaning schedule and eliminating seating at bar areas where people would sit close together. We also encourage restaurants to use a reservation-only system for in-establishment dining. Customers can even be screened upon arrival by asking whether anyone in the party has tested positive, has any symptoms, or has been exposed to COVID-19. All employees should be screened before each shift and immediately excluded from the workplace if they have any symptoms. Employees with direct customer contact should wear masks that are laundered or replaced daily, and workstations should be staggered, so employees are stationed at least 6 feet apart whenever possible. We understand that we're asking restaurants to take many precautions, but it's all in an effort to help protect their employees and their customers so that we can all stay healthy. Another important part of how we purchase food as Iowans is at farmers markets, and specific guidance has been developed by the Iowa Department of Public Health, the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, the Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals, Iowa State University Extension for these operations as well. This guidance provides that farmers markets can only sell farm products and food. There can be no entertainment, other social activities, or common seating. There is a required 6-foot minimum spacing between vendors and other social distancing requirements for vendors and customers. Signs should be posted telling the public not to enter if they are feeling ill. And vendors should consider accepting cashless options whenever possible. This guidance will be posted at the coronavirus.iowa.gov website and the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship web pages as well. And finally, the Iowa Department of Public Health has also developed general guidance for any businesses that will be reopening in the next week. This includes following CDC cleaning and disinfection guidance, encouraging the provision of hand sanitizer and hand washing supplies for employees as well as the public, posting reminders to employees and members of the public to stay at least 6 feet away from others when in the facility, and marking 6-foot intervals when possible. And again, providing clear messaging to employees so that they understand how to take care of themselves and also protect their customers. So as Governor Reynolds mentioned yesterday, this is all part of turning down the dial, and we will continue to monitor the spread of COVID-19 and make recommendations for adjustment of public health containment and mitigation measures as needed. It's critically important that businesses, farmers markets, and other gathering spots follow the guidance that we've provided so that we can start to open our state while still protecting the health of its residents. Before I turn the podium back over to the governor, I especially want to thank our partners in local public health and emergency management across all 99 counties for their flexibility as new directives and guidance continue to be issued. They're responding every moment of every day to what's happening in their communities and communicating regularly with their partners and local elected officials, as well as following the latest updates from the state. We appreciate them and all they're doing during this challenging time. And now, Governor Reynolds, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate the work that the Department of Public Health and the Department of Inspection and Appeals and all that you listed have done to help really restaurants and many other businesses to prepare for returning to work under these new and different circumstances. So thank you for your efforts in that. I appreciate it very much. You know, across the nation, restaurants have been hard hit by the closings that were necessary for us to slow the spread of COVID-19, and they've been especially missed by their patrons. Here in Iowa, we've seen many restaurant owners get creative in order to continue employing staff and serving their customers, from revamping their menus for carry-out to creating special meal subscriptions for families. Iowa restaurants have shown that they can still inspire dining even when we're eating at home. Some even dedicated themselves to serving their community from their kitchens in truly meaningful ways, like Joel Marr, the owner of Primrose Restaurant in Corning. After the closure of restaurants, I had a friend share a video from Facebook of Joel reaching out to his community, letting him know that he would remain open for carry-out service. But he also made a commitment to serve free lunch to K through 12 students while they were out of school during this time. Joel's story speaks to the very heart of who we are as Iowans. So I wanted to take this opportunity today to check in with Joel, hear about his business and lunch program, and his plans to reopen Primrose. So Joel, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. It's an honor. It's good to see you again. So what we did was we did lunches for the school. Just to help out school as well as the kids here in town. Something is, we wanted to make sure that there was fruit, a good amount of protein and carbohydrate with them as well. And then every so often, what kid doesn't like a little bit of something sweet in there? So we've been making some homemade brownies, things like that with them. With that being said, we did this just to give back to the community, since it was such a humbling experience that everybody helped us out. Corning, as well as the surrounding areas, has helped us out tremendously by donating money for the kids, as well as to make sure that we stay our doors open. It has been a great outpouring of love from everybody around us, and in these times, it's good to see some positive things come back from it.
Thank you. So are you getting ready to reopen?
Yep, we're looking at some options. I feel confident that we could still kind of keep this extra 2 weeks and kind of really teach our staff some stuff, as well as probably continue doing what we're doing right now.
Yep.
And get everything working with the Restaurant Association to make sure that all the implementations are in place, and get our staff fully ready, and that way we can give our guests the expectations that they're looking for, and look forward to keeping everybody safe and healthy.
Thank you. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks.
Your resilience is extremely inspiring, and I wish you much success as you reopen Primrose, and I, for one, can't wait to come back. So, and much luck to all of the restaurant owners and staff who are all busy preparing to reopen. We wish you the best as well. So in closing today, I want to thank Iowans for their continued support of our food banks. Your donations of time and money are making a difference for families in need. This week, the Iowa National Guard began conducting missions to support food bank needs in communities across the state. From packaging and delivering products to organizing mobile distribution sites, the Iowa National Guard soldiers and airmen are there to serve Iowans wherever they need. Also, the FFA has answered the call to action by challenging its members across the state to volunteer at food banks and pantries in their communities. With the FFA connection to agriculture and ag education, this really is a perfect partnership that will connect food banks with young volunteers who are at much less of a risk to the virus to help address, again, food insecurity and allow students an opportunity to give back to their community and to demonstrate the living to serve, which aspect of the FFA motto. So if you're an FFA member, partner with Volunteer Iowa to be connected with communities in or near your community. And finally, the Iowa Department of Agriculture and the Iowa pork producers, pig farmers, meat processors across the state are working together to support the Iowa Food Bank Association. Through the Pass the Pork program, farmers are donating pigs to food bank programs. Local meat processors have extended their hours of operation to process and package the pork donations to help meet the growing demand of food resources. And you can help too. So donations are needed to cover the cost of processing, storage, and delivery of the pork to food banks and pantries. Iowans can contribute to the Iowa Food Bank Association to help cover these costs and future purchases of Iowa-produced meat for the food program. So to donate, just go to Iowa Food Bank Association's website at iowafba.org. And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Governor, can you talk about, with all of these new guidelines for restaurants, how the state is going to go about enforcing that restaurants follow some of these guidelines and recommendations?
Well, first of all, I have confidence in Iowans to do the right thing, and business owners are just as concerned, as you just heard from Joel, that they want to make sure that they've put all the measures in place, not only to protect their employees, but to make sure that they can protect the individuals that are going to their patrons, as well as their community. So they were very proactive, actually, in reaching out to me, talking to the Iowa Restaurant Association, talking to their members, talking about what they could do proactively to make sure that they could restore confidence to Iowans to open up their establishments and do it in a safe and responsible manner. So just like, I think it's the Department of Inspection and Appeals that works with the restaurants across the state of Iowa, they will continue to do those same visits and connections and continue to make sure that we're operating in a safe and responsible manner. But Caroline, they want to do that. They want to make sure that they're protecting their employers and that they can provide Iowans with the confidence they need to come back in and start to enjoy dine-in experiences, but doing it in a responsible manner by social distancing, by making sure that they're operating at 50% capacity, making sure that they're following the Department of Health public guidelines that have put out. And so they're going to continue to do what they need to do to provide that safe experience.
Governor, you said contact tracing and testing is really important to reopening the economy. Do you have any update on where the state is at with contact tracers? I think you said you were going to hire 200. And then do you have any updates on further Test Iowa sites that will be opening?
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So I'm going to give an update on some of the numbers where we've currently done the testing, what we did this weekend, Saturday and Sunday in Des Moines. We've continued to keep the operation open at Des Moines today, tomorrow and Wednesday, I believe, and probably all week is what we're looking at. And then in addition to that, as I mentioned, we'll be going into Waterloo, so that'll be the next site that we'll open up. We continue to do some long-term care strike teams where we're providing testing for the staff at our long-term care facilities, so we can start to do some surveillance testing so we can get in front of trying to identify especially some of the individuals who test positive but have been asymptomatic. And then in addition to that, Dr. Padati and the team have been doing serology testing also. So that will give us some insight as we move forward and, again, just continue to understand the virus activity and how it's being spread and what we can do to mitigate and manage the spread as we continue to reopen the state. We also will be looking at going into Woodbury County. They're seeing a significant spike, and so it'll be first of next week, maybe this weekend. We're looking at logistics right now, making sure that we have the team that's ready to set up and operationalize the Test Iowa site. So we're going to get up there as soon as we can, hopefully this weekend, but if not, it'll be the first of next week. And so also a component of that, as I've said, is the case investigation and tracing. And so the Department of Public Health, yes, this is Tuesday, yesterday, I believe, provided training and the equipment to the guardsmen and women that will be helping us with the contact tracing and investigation, as well as the individuals that are helping us through the Department of Public Health. So we can, and then the local public health officials are doing some of that too. So we just knew that with the increased numbers in testing, we were going to need to bring on additional individuals to do the testing. I'll say one more thing and then we'll go to the next question, but also with the assessment piece that we're doing with the Test Iowa, we're able to get a lot of the information on the front end and continue to monitor, Iowans' health, and so that hopefully will help expedite some of the contact investigation and testing. Blah.
Governor, there's about a 500 case discrepancy between what the state and Blackhawk County is reporting. Is that a lag in the state results, or are they recording things differently?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. We do, our reporting time frame it cuts off at 10 o'clock the following morning. So the results that were reported today are results as of 10 o'clock a.m. yesterday. So the Blackhawk County Public Health Department is undoubtedly using a different time frame in terms of their results reporting. And so we'll catch up with them tomorrow in terms of the data that's posted on the state website.
Sarah, can you put a number on how many contact tracers Iowa needs to be efficient in its contact tracing?
So Caroline, we have about a workforce of about 200 that have been identified as from the state level at this particular point in time. And so when we think about the number of new cases we're seeing a day, even at 500 cases a day, I think that'll be manageable with the additional resources at the state level. We have also been communicating with local public health agencies and talking to them about their capacity as we've seen cases really start to rise in some locations, and we're asking them if they are interested in turning those contact tracing interviews over to the state. So we're offering support to locals in that way to the extent that they're not able to get them done just due to lack of resources at the local level, that we're offering to step in from the state perspective and assist them with that.
Because they're doing so much at the local level. It's not just that. That's a small component, an important one to the many things that we're asking them to do. And so this is something that we can help alleviate some of their time on. So, and you know what? We'll continue to monitor that. So if we figure out, or if we decide that we need more as we start to stand up more sites, then we'll take a look at what that looks like, and we'll look for additional resources. Potentially even the National Guard could bring on some additional resources with the title. The federal guidelines that we've been able to, that they're operating under now, we are able to bring on about 1,000 guardsmen and women, so that will help immensely.
Tony, the one register, go ahead.
Thank you, Governor. I want to ask you about religious services. Why did you agree to allow them to open in all counties? And also, what advice would you have for ministers and other leaders and their parishioners for this weekend about what they should do?
Okay. So I think, can you tell me the first part of the question? What was the first part of the question?
Why did you agree to allow services to be held this weekend throughout the state instead of just in the 77 counties?
Well, I never shut it down, and I think it comes down to constitutional liberties and the First Amendment. And so we are going to continue to work with our churches across the state. We would encourage them to continue to offer online services, especially for our most vulnerable Iowans. that should continue to use the online services for church. We're also encouraging them to practice, and they will, to practice social distancing, to think about different measures that they can put in place. The Department of Public Health has put together guidelines that that they should, follow through the services, but they'll make sure that they're practicing safe worship in the services for Iowans across the state. And then Iowans also need to be responsible, so if you're sick, you need to stay home, continue to utilize the online services, and those that do go, we know that social distancing works, so we should incorporate that into opening up our the services.
All right, Rod, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Governor. You indicated you plan to offer a revised fiscal 2021 budget plan to legislators this week. Will that still include your proposed Invest in Iowa Act that you have put on hold, or has the global pandemic caused you to rethink elements of that proposal, including raising the state sales tax in the near future?
Yeah. I'm seeing some sad faces from my team that have worked so hard on Invest in Iowa. We're going to sit down with Department of Management and Director Roeder and go through that. And so, in light of everything that we're facing right now, it's really too early to see the impact of COVID-19, so we're monitoring that very closely. We're very fortunate that our cash reserves are strong, that we have strong fiscal health going into the COVID-19, but it's going to require all of us, I think, to revisit our budgets. I will be resubmitting a new budget to the legislature, and we're going to begin working on that this week, so that probably means that Invest in Iowa is going to have to be put on hold.
We're going to go to David, Channel 13.
Good morning, Governor.
Hi.
This bipartisan letter from the National Governors Association, do you agree that Iowa needs more from the feds in terms of aid, PPEs, testing, SNAP assistant infrastructure, all of those things? And then secondarily, how much money do you think we need from the feds to get us through all of this?
Well, that's why I think it's important that we take a look at what, how we can use the money that they've already sent to the states and the money that they've put into the CARES Act and into the PPP to help small businesses across the state and across the country. So I think we really need to reevaluate the money that's come in and how we're using it, and then before we probably ask for additional support. So I'm not saying that we may not need it, but I'm also saying that, we have been very conservative in fiscally and responsibly managing our state budget. Our cash reserves were full. We had about a $300 million budget surplus in fiscal year 19. So we're in pretty good shape going into this. This is going to have an impact on our budget. We know that. We were fortunate to keep over 80% of our essential businesses open and running, but we still have had businesses and small businesses that have been impacted by the coronavirus, and so we're going to continue to monitor what that impact looks like and the impact that it'll have on our revenues, and then we'll continue to work with the federal government. They have been responsive in addressing our needs, and so I believe that they still will be responsive in addressing the needs of states across the country, but I also think that we must be responsible in the amount of debt that we're putting on future generations, and so we need to understand how we're utilizing the money that we've received and then circle back and take a look at that moving forward.
On that, can you just give us a quick update on where we are with PPP and?
Oh, shoot. I didn't bring that, but actually we are with the PPP or the PPE?
I'm sorry, PPE.
Okay. I know. I think they were trying to play a joke on us. That was not, they could have found a different acronym. But anyway, the PPE, we are starting to see our supply chains open up. We've got several of the PPE that has been ordered that we're seeing coming in. I actually, our team keeps a spreadsheet on all of that, so we'll be able to provide that for you. As I said the other day, we really have seen the Guard missions slow down. So, at one point they were doing 25 to 26 a day. We have 4 today. Yeah, okay. So, and we've consistently seen that, come down. So that indicates to us that their ability to open up to procure outside of the state resources is happening, and we are also starting to see our resources open up too. So that's a good thing.
Time for 2 questions left. Chris, KCCI.
Hi there, Governor. A number of meatpacking companies, Tyson, JBS, have ostensibly claimed privacy reasons when they refuse to release raw infection numbers. The number of attorneys, including the state auditor, have said there's no privacy violation by releasing those numbers. No one's identified. So do you believe it's in the public interest for companies to release these infection numbers?
You know, I'm not going to comment on that until I can do get a little bit more background on it and visit with the Attorney General. But what I've seen is that our processing plants have done everything that they can and continue to work to make sure that their employers are working in a safe environment. I've talked to almost every one of them many times, and they've talked about through temperature scanners, through opening up their attendance policy, to making sure that they're practicing social distancing, to mandating facial masks, many times shields, to putting in petitions to make sure that their workers know that they can stay home when they're sick. So they are being proactive and doing what they need to do to protect their workers, to make sure that they're operating in a safe environment. And then we're helping too with some of the testing so that we can identify those that have tested positive. We're doing both diagnostic testing as well as serology testing on many of these facilities so that we can really identify the scope and the spread, and hopefully do everything we can to keep these facilities up and running, because it is essential that we not only protect the workforce but that we keep our processing plants open so we can keep the food supply chain moving, or we're going to really be dealing with some significant issues going forward, not only from a food supply protein effort, but really even the cost of food as well. So we're working collaboratively and collectively to make sure that that doesn't happen. And it goes to, our producers and our farmers who have invested in feeding not only Americans but the world. And so, they show up every day as well as our food processing workers to make sure that that food supply chain continues to move, and Iowans and Americans continue to have access to protein and food going forward.
Last question, Rachel, Channel 5.
Good morning, Governor. Why do you think it's necessary for the President to invoke the Defense Production Act to help pork producers?
Because of what I just said, everything that I just said. This is essential, critical infrastructure. It is essential to keeping the food supply chain moving. It is essential to keeping protein available to Iowans, and it's essential to our ability. We provide 10% of the nation's food supply here in Iowa, and so we have a role and an obligation from our farmers to our processors to our supply chain, to continue to feed the world and keep food on the plate. And so, we have to figure out how we can do that in a responsible and safe manner. And so, we need to take a look at what that entails to make sure that we can continue to do that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.